Bucks. Oh, big elbow of DC! Oh my God, Daniel Cormier just knocked out Steve Miocic! Steve Miocic is completely unconscious! The referee is bringing him up! Daniel Cormier is the heavyweight champion of the world! Are you fucking kidding me?
MMA with friends, yeah. MMA with friends, we punching with the wind. You gotta understand, we floating like a bee and stinging like Ali. You understand this ring, get knocked out in them things. We undefeated, we the champs of the world. We really taking over, not worried about no girls. And you can understand how it really gotta be. And when we kick that fist in, you gon' really see, huh? Hey, put your heart and your soul in this game. When you step in this ring, don't be a lame. Everybody destined for clout, mad fame. I don't understand, but we boxing in the rain. Boxing in the rain, knocking in the field. Yeah, I got that Snoop flow, I gotta stay ill. Everybody thinking about everything else, but when we in this ring, you gon' beg for some help. Cause I MMA with friends, we did it all again. We back in this game, we back just to win. We came to take over, got a kick-ass theme song on the way for show. A kick-ass game, man, we really got the flow. Yeah, we boxing out. If you understand, then you know just what I'm talking about. And we not trying to lose, trying to really win. MMA with friends, yeah, we did that shit again. And yeah, I'm back like I never left. And I'm back cause I don't need no book off of stuff to tell me where I'm really, really at. MMA with friends, that's how I act.
Oh my God, it's all over! Whoa! Package, man, like, you can knock the fuck out! Jorge Masvidal just shocked the world!
Hot boy.
That was incredible.
You just possibly the fastest knockout in the history of mixed martial arts! Bucks. Oh, big elbow of DC! Oh my God, Daniel Cormier just knocked out Steve Miocic! Steve Miocic is completely unconscious! The referee is bringing him up! Daniel Cormier is the heavyweight champion of the world! Are you fucking kidding me?
MMA with friends, yeah. MMA with friends, we punching with the wind. You gotta understand, we floating like a bee and stinging like Ali. You understand this ring, get knocked out in them things. We undefeated, we the champs of the world. We really taking over, not worried about no girls. And you can understand how it really gotta be. And when we kick that fist in, you gon' really see, huh? Hey, put your heart and your soul in this game. When you step in this ring, don't be a lame. Everybody destined for clout, mad fame. I don't understand, but we boxing in the rain. Boxing in the rain, knocking in the field. Yeah, I got that Snoop flow, I gotta stay ill. Everybody thinking about everything else, but when we in this ring, you gon' beg for some help. Cause I MMA with friends, we did it all again. We back in this game, we back just to win. We came to take over, got a kick-ass theme song on the way for show. A kick-ass game, man, we really got the flow. Yeah, we boxing out. If you understand, then you know just what I'm talking about. And we not trying to lose, trying to really win. MMA with friends, yeah, we did that shit again. And yeah, I'm back like I never left. And I'm back cause I don't need no book off of stuff to tell me where I'm really, really at. MMA with friends, that's how I act.
Oh my God, it's all over! Whoa! Package, man, like, you can knock the fuck out! Jorge Masvidal just shocked the world!
Hot boy.
That was incredible.
You just possibly the fastest knockout in the history of mixed martial arts! What's up, everybody? Micah Fights with Friends. I have heard your concerns about the channel and I am addressing them. A lot of people didn't like the name Live Sports Reaction, so I'm working with some of the things. Also, I have a lot of trivia tonight.
What's going on, everybody? D Brown in the house, 7 in the house. Billy Hughes, comedic genius. Talking about that CSS, bro? I'm not sure what that is. But speaking of CSS, speaking of CBS, if you guys were on the Fights with Friends Facebook page, which Fights with Friends is not dying. Fights with Friends is gonna be the same. Oh, thank you. Young David moved my microphone when he's sitting at the desk, and sometimes I forget to put it back up there. Thank you. So that's probably why. Thank you. Maybe Baller Sports Spectrum. I got a few ideas, but those that were on the Fights with Friends Facebook page, seeing I posted an interview with Stipe Miocic that was very interesting. Very good interview, I thought, about 13, 15 minutes. I had it with CBS, and they did it on like a skyscraper somewhere. So, I don't know. It was a pretty cool thing. It was pretty cool to see CBS even paying attention to him, too, and, you know, talking about how he should be such a bigger star. And of course, I totally agree. Everybody, hit that thumbs up button to help me out here, and we can get this thing going. Get the trivia going tonight. Quite a few things to talk about. Like I said, I got a few more names in store for Fights with Friends, and I'll throw those out there as more people come in. A few things going on this week, though. Let's start out with Yair Rodriguez and Jeremy Stephens. Of course, Yair Rodriguez poked Jeremy Stephens in the eye 15 seconds into that bout. We were pretty much all watching it. I was covering it. And scratched cornea. It looks like a damaged cornea for Jeremy Stephens. Possible 180-day medical suspension. Some pretty serious stuff. And apparently, they got into it back in the hotel. First of all, of course, the fans got into it like crazy. Jeremy Stephens had to be escorted out of the cage. A lot of people were throwing things at them, throwing garbage, throwing beer, throwing, you know, cups, everything that they had, everything that they could think of. And then you had Mexican stars. I'm trying to think who it was. Somebody said, and they were lambasted on Twitter. I'm trying to think who it was, that Jeremy Stephens did not deserve to be in the UFC because he didn't fight with a scratched cornea. Then Yair Rodriguez came out and said, hey, there was a fight I had where I couldn't open my eye too, and I just lied and said that I couldn't see. Maybe he did, but they were not going to let that fight go on. This is not your backyard fight club with your wannabe Kimbo Slice, Yair, and this is really out of character for Yair Rodriguez. Never seen anything like this from him before. All of the smack talking coming into this fight was from Jeremy Stephens, so that's why a lot of this really surprises me. I think he was pumped up by being in front of his Mexican crowd, that machismo going, the way the crowd reacted and everything, and I think that really kind of built him up too. And then Yair Rodriguez, back in the hotel, came up to Jeremy Stephens, kind of acting like he wants to shake his hand. Stephens says like, oh, I think he's trying to be a gentleman. And then he walks up to him, and says, hey, that's some pussy S that you pulled out of this fight. Starts talking smack to Jeremy Stephens. And his words were pretty much, yo, homie, this isn't karate class. He goes, I fight to kill people. And pushes Yair there into, Yair's people that are there. And Jeremy's got some of his people there. And Yair didn't engage afterwards, which, of course, Jeremy Stephens called him out afterwards, says, you talked a bunch of smack, and once it was time to back it up, then you just act like a little bee. But, out of character for Yair Rodriguez. I didn't like some of the comments that were coming out this week around that whole thing. We all know, I don't think anybody that knows Jeremy Stephens is going to actually question his toughness. I remember he spent thousands of dollars of his own money on this camp with Tony Ferguson. I can't remember what it was. I want to say he spent like $30,000, I think was the number that came out. What's up, CJ Smith? How's it going? Anyways, yeah, he spent like $30,000 on his own camp. And then, there is video of this now. A video of the altercation has just came out. It's footage of the reported hotel confrontation. Was released by Spanish language website Indosquito. But Rodriguez, so these are to quote him correctly and do him justice. So this is what happened. Video is shot from behind Rodriguez as he approaches Steven while asking, "Are you okay?" Much of the altercation from there is inaudible until Rodriguez says, "What happened?" Well, he knows what happened. He could see that they were trying to open Jeremy Stephens' eye, and it just wasn't opening. And then Rodriguez says, "You're going to have to live with that as for the rest of your effing life." Rodriguez said, "You're a effing pussy. You're going to have to live with that for the rest of your effing life." P word, not me. I'm fine, mother effer. Steven, who's been adamant about regarding an immediate rematch, then tells Rodriguez, "Let's run it back." And then Steven says, "You poked me in the eye, FT." Steven says in the video, referring to the foul. Homophobic slur word, you know what I'm saying. Rodriguez then responds with the same homophobic slur before both men vow to see each other again soon. Video ends after Stephens walks away from the scene. Stephens also pushed Yair into his group, which I gotta be on Jeremy Stephens' side with this, guys. I don't really see anything of this entire altercation and everything that I can stand behind Yair Rodriguez on this. And like I said, very uncharacteristic of Yair Rodriguez. We all know Jeremy Stephens. I mean, he's not a guy that you want to mess with. He's going to get in there. He's going to mix it up. He's definitely not a dirty fighter, but he's from the streets, and he'll tell you that. So, I mean, to think that you're going to come up to him and start calling him names and making fun of him and telling him you're a coward, you're going to have to live with this, man, and expect that he's not going to lay hands on you, you got some kind of mental issue. Something's not connecting correctly upstairs. Lost all respect for him, says CJ Smith. What up, DJ Jukebox? How's it going, man? We need Frankie Edgar to fix Yair again. Some more news. On top of that, Frankie Edgar now out of a fight. Aljamain Sterling and Frankie Edgar. So this fight was rumored. It was not even finalized before it's off. Aljamain Sterling is undergoing wrist surgery. He was rumored to be fighting Frankie Edgar on the Madison Square Garden card. That is off. What is being rumored now is for the Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz card that Stipe versus DC3 could be on the same card. I mean, if that's enough time, it's been a month. So you're talking August, September, October, November, December. It's maybe barely enough time for these. DC says he only wants one fight, win or lose. He says this is it for him. He admits that if he would have won the fight against Stipe, that he would have retired right then. But he wants to bring that one back. The UFC wants to bring it back bad. I think Madison Square Garden is a huge place for it. And generally, I would say 4 months is not enough time in between for these two guys. But remember, Cormier was not really, he wasn't real fond about, fighting after 40 anyways. So I think for him, the quicker they can run that one back, the better. It seems like maybe Stipe's got the more healing to do. That's kind of what the UFC was saying. I mean, he got busted up pretty bad by DC. He was probably losing that fight before landing those body shots in the fourth. So I was so mad when he told Jeremy he would have to live with it for the rest of his life. First eye poke and now a low blow. I agree. So Stevens did definitely not fake it. If you haven't watched it, you got to go back and watch it. Rodriguez pokes, basically your ring finger into the eye, and it wasn't purposeful. I don't believe it was purposeful at all. Into the eye of Stevens, but it's in a scratching motion. Jeremy Stevens definitely wanted to go on. Credit to Herb Dean for giving him 5 minutes, even if he wasn't exactly obliged to under the unified rules of MMA. He treated it more like a low blow, which is, I feel like, is the way that it should be treated, and gave him his 5 minutes, and they called the doctor in there, and that you could tell the doctor did not want to stop the fight either. They wiped the eye away, which they have not allowed fighters to do that in the past on accidental eye pokes, which I agree that they should always have to do that. I think, and they were literally trying to pry Jeremy Stevens' eye open. They could not get his eye to open. So, I mean, that's an issue. So, there was no way that he could have faked it. There's no way. And now he has a temporary 180-day medical suspension, does Jeremy Stevens. He cannot fight or continue to train until being cleared by an optometrist. So hopefully there's no permanent damage there for the little heathen. But I don't think that Yair Rodriguez could have been more disrespectful. I was really upset by the way that he handled the whole situation. Wish Jeremy did a game bred move on Yair. Oh, he definitely could have. I mean, he pushed him. I feel like he would have been within his right to hit him. You have all these emotions boiling up. You just went through an entire training camp. And then this guy's coming up to you in the hotel, and he's saying you're a coward. How are you going to live with yourself? You're an effing P word. You're an F word, calling them all these homophobic slurs and all these things and stuff, and pushes him. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not a fighter. Right now, I don't have a fight scheduled against this guy, but if I'm in a hotel and somebody comes up to me and thinks that they're going to start calling me these names, and I'm not going to put hands on him, you got something not connecting correctly upstairs. Because that's not how fighters are. That's not how we do it. You can't just walk up to people and start questioning their manhood and start talking all this smack and, thinking there's not going to be consequences for it. Yair is mad at Jeremy for something he did. Yeah, that's the thing. That's one of the hardest things to understand, that he's the one who poked him in the eye. I understand that it was accidental. I 100% do not think for 1 second that Yair purposely scratched his eye. But to continue to go on like that, the way that he has in the hotel, on media and everything, it's just, I find it very disgraceful. Makes sense. Give the guy 5 minutes. A scratch is different than an eye poke. I think it should be for an eye poke too. I think any time that you injure somebody accidental by a foul, if they need 5 minutes, you should give them 5 minutes. I think an eye poke, an eye scratch, a low blow, an accidental headbutt that maybe hits in the eye or causes somebody to be groggy. I mean, headbutts aren't a legal move either. So if you got somebody that's woozy from getting caught by, an accidental headbutt, I think you give them the time. Steven suspended for 180 days for not having his eye evaluated by a doctor. That's not quite the way I'm not sure quite how you're saying that. He needs to have it evaluated to get cleared. They definitely had doctors there evaluating his eye. They had a ringside doctor in there. Oh, this pay-per-view now for sure. Also, the Mexican fans dropped the level of the Brazilians. Yair's playing the victim, and people think Jeremy faked it. I seen some people coming out and saying that anybody who thinks Little Heathen faked getting his eye scratched when it was obvious he could not open his eye after spending $30,000 of his own money to train with Tony Ferguson in Big Bear. I mean, those people were out of their mind. Yeah, I'll buy a pay-per-view. Well, they're not going to be the main event on a pay-per-view, but they could definitely run it back. They're looking for more fights to put on Madison Square Garden. Already a loaded card I talked about, but they were trying to make, like I said, Frankie Edgar versus Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling's out. He's going to have surgery on his wrist. So that seems like a natural fight. Those guys can definitely fight by then. There's no reason not to. Jeremy Stephens should be totally cleared. I'm sure as soon as he sees an optometrist, they're going to be, at the most, they're going to be like, hey, don't train for a week. Unless there's some kind of permanent damage that we don't know about, God forbid. But did Stephens get kicked in the face right before he got poked? I don't think so. It was only 15 seconds. I don't think anybody had landed anything to the face. But maybe he did. I'll have to rewatch it. I didn't quite remember. Possible trilogy with Jeremy Stephens and you, Rodriguez. A scratch eye waters a lot, though. Yeah, it's a strange situation. Obviously, I was pretty upset by it. We had quite a few people in here watching. I want to say we had like 170 some people in here watching, so it wasn't good for me. Definitely cut out of the views and the time to watch as far as that's concerned. Luckily, we had some other good fights on that card. But I just wish that Yair Rodriguez would kind of walk this back and say, hey, this was kind of in the moment. And you don't have to out and out apologize, but kind of say, maybe I was out of line. Maybe kind of like a half apology, maybe, I guess. Huge front kick landed from Yair. Yeah, Jeremy was not hurt. 15 seconds in, I'll tell you that Jeremy Stephens was definitely not hurt before the eye scratch. Yair tweeted he hit 3 solid kicks in 13 seconds. I just don't remember that. I have to go back and watch it. But I really think Yair is trying to tell a different story than what happened. And Jeremy Stephens, he's not the kind of guy that's going to want out of fight. I didn't see anything solid land. That's for sure. I don't remember seeing anything solid landing. Maybe Billy or somebody else that was watching can help me out there. But as far as anything solid landing, I didn't see anything yet. Like I said, it was only 15 seconds into the fight. So, I mean, like I said, I think that's probably the most likely card to fight to end up on Madison Square Garden with Masvidal and Diaz. Already a lot of really good fights on there. So I didn't seem to water much. Maybe I'm wrong. I saw one kick. It doesn't always water. So what it did is your eye will close up like that to protect itself. And I don't think Jeremy Stephens could have held his eye closed like that while the referee's literally trying to pry on it. I mean, they're trying to pry open his eye. He's working his eye. He's rubbing his eye over there in the corner. And you can see him pretty clearly for most of it. And I just don't see any reason or any incentive that Jeremy Stephens would have faked an eye poke. And I just, unless I see evidence to the contrary, I don't believe that at all. Tony Ferguson had his left eye scratched during a fight, then he would just scratch his right eye to make things even. That's pretty good, MMA or not. Hey, we got quite a few people in here. Let's throw out a trivia question. Everybody refresh your browsers. What, that old retired Irishman? He might be fighting. He might come back next year. I want to see him come back against Justin Gaethje just because I think Justin Gaethje will bust him up. But, and 5, 4, 3. Yair should scratch Rumble's eyes. It's basically a death sentence. Oh, I hear you. Yeah, that would not go over well. All right, first question. Going back to some old school here. Back to Tough Season 1 on the Ultimate Fighter. I want both names. So please don't give out one and help everyone else. I want both names. Who were the coaches, the two coaches for Tough Season 1? Back to the beginning. Yeah. Billy Hughes, you are correct. It is Couture and Liddell. Billy is back. Yes, Billy is back. Haterade 9, even though he wasn't there for the last weeks, Haterade 9 has a trophy. The last week ended up going through for Season 3. He still ended up having enough weeks in. I believe 6 winning weeks. Nobody was close to that for Season 3. So Haterade 9 will get a trophy. And I still got to get Billy his back-to-back trophy. We'll get on that. He's got that trophy from the first season. And Billy's trying to come through for a three-peat. Started watching Tough from the beginning last week. I still have that again. I still have the original DVD from Season 1. I bought that one was back on DVD years ago. I have a large fight DVD collection. Thousands of boxing matches. Thousands. I wish I could put some of them up. I'll probably take a chance and put some of them up anyways. But second question real quick before anybody refreshes. How many world champions, how many UFC world champions came off of Tough first season? Anybody know that? Anybody know how many world champions came out of that season? MMA or Nada says 4. Billy Hughes says 1. CJ Smith says 2. It is Billy. It was believe it or not, it was only 1. And it was Forrest Griffin in his victory over Quentin Rampage Jackson. So much talent from that season. Chris Lieben, Josh Koscheck, so many guys that were just short or, had their careers end early because of injury, like Nate Quarry and Mike Swick. Diego Sanchez, the Nightmare, of course, the only one still fighting in the UFC from that first season. Chris the Crippler Lieben been fighting over in Bare Knuckle FC here for a while, but Billy with 2,000 points on the board right out of the gate. And real quick, we'll throw the third one out here real quick before we refresh browsers. What season of The Ultimate Fighter did Rashad Evans win? Rashad Evans came off of The Ultimate Fighter. The season he went against a Brad. I can't remember what his name was. Big, tall guy, though. It's like 6'8" or something like that. And Billy Hughes, you are correct. It was season 2. And Billy just running the tables again. Man. Brad Imes, thank you. And I wanted to do Monday Night Football, guys. Peter Ordinary messaged me on Twitter. That was nice of him, saying, hey, you okay, man? I thought you were doing Monday Night Football. Yes, I did say that I was going to do Monday Night Football, but I ended up getting screwed over at work. They ended up having, my load was 3 hours late. My load was supposed to be throwing, and then they did a reset over at Walmart. So I had they did a reset and they missed a load. So I ended up with 2 people's loads, and it was just, it was a disaster. I hope they get this figured out. But, all right, let's throw one more out there before we refresh, and then let's talk about a name. Okay, what 2 rivals coached Tough Season 3? This is back when they used to fight at the end, but these guys had bad blood. What 2 rivals coached The Ultimate Fighter Season 3? And I'm pretty sure these guys still can't stand each other. They ended up fighting again afterwards. A lot of people said that the fight, they were upset because they thought the fight was stopped too quickly. First fight was on pay-per-view. Then they ended up having the second fight on Spike because Dana said he thought he owed it to the fans. It was not Bisning and Miller. It was Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock. First fight was on pay-per-view, like I said. Oh, CJ Smith had it right behind. All right, so let's talk about the new name here for a minute. I had put up Live Sports Experience, and I was basically playing the YouTube game. I went through the algorithms and said, hey, what pops? What has a lot of search results, but not as much competition? And there's a thing called TubeBuddy, and it rates the different, it rates names and different words based upon that, and then spits out like a poor, a fair, or good. And now I can talk about part of the other reason that Fights with Friends name has probably got to go. What's up, Mo Scream TV? Love the new name, bro. Need to have me on one of these shows. Great stuff, bro. Hey, yeah, I'm going to have you on over here, and then I'm going to go over on your show like we talked about. So let me know what your schedule is, and I'd like to get that together real soon, actually. I was trying to figure out what I do have something tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow afternoon. We can talk afterwards. I'll talk with you on Twitter, or we can talk afterwards, Mo Scream, and we'll definitely figure something out. I had talked about Live Sports Experience. Not a lot of people like it, so I'm trying to be humble enough to say, hey, you guys are a big community. You guys have been with me for a long time, a lot of you, and I feel like it would be really stupid of me to not take your guys' opinion into consideration, and I would never do that anyways. So there was a few names that I come up with. Mike's Sports Experience or Mike's live sports experience. And the experience, that, that performs pretty well on all the algorithms. I don't know that we get a really good acronym for it. Like, I like FWF with Fights with Friends, but what you guys think? I'm thinking either Mike's sports experience or Mike's live sports experience. Experiencer says just use my name. And I, of course, I wasn't sure at first about the experience, because I know people were going to try to say, oh, you're copying Joe Rogan, who, of course, took that from Jimi Hendrix. But it's a buzzword, and I feel like it is more of an experience. Because even, the Joe Rogan experience, it's not... I don't feel like it's the same as experience as this, because he's not fielding your comments as he does his podcast. Of course, that would be very hard since he has, millions of viewers. Yes, sir, would want you to be on a breakdown show where we break down fights. I definitely do that. Moen Slice show. Or just you and me talking about fights, and I think you need to do something with your name in it. And that's kind of what I was thinking too. I am going to put my name in it now. That way people can search me easily. And I'm thinking Mike's sports experience or Mike's live sports experience. As far as YouTube, I'm leaning towards Mike's live sports experience, because live's another one of those search buzzwords. Sports experience live with Mike. What's up, Panhead Bob? Yeah, it's got to be something that people remember when they put it in. And the other part of it is I want to be able to grab the website. So it's got to be something that people can easily remember to put into a website. That's why I'm kind of just thinking Mike's sports experience. But anyways, I really don't care to talk about myself. It's not obviously my favorite thing to do. But I wanted to get your guys' input as far as the new channel name and let you guys know that... yeah, I definitely was listening to what you guys were saying and taking that into consideration. So, next trivia question. Let's go an update in 5, 4, 3, 2, put Chillstone inside show. Mike Sports Experience works, bro. Thank you, Mo Scream. MSE. That's true. I like the acronym. I also like having the live in there just because a lot of people search under the word live. But I'm thinking I can do Mike Sports Experience, and then when I go live, I can call the show Mike Sports Experience Live. So I think that should hit all the algorithms. And Mo Scream TV, you're going to want to hear this real quick too. Yeah, I liked that one too. D Brown Spectrum. The reason that I ended up not going with Sports Spectrum is it was too popular. When I ended up typing in Sports Spectrum, there was a ton of people that were already calling their channel Sports Spectrum, and the search to competition ratio was really horrible, actually. Not a lot of people searching for it, and a lot of competition for those keywords. If you're on YouTube and you're not using TubeBuddy, you definitely are missing out. You definitely need to take advantage of that tool, even if you're using the free version of it. It'll help you rank keywords and, do a lot of other tools to help you out on there. Just real quick, guys. So we got to give a shout out to our sponsors first tonight, Grubhub. Guys, I know you're hungry. Geez, I'm hungry. And the fights are coming. You guys are not wanting to cook tonight. You're definitely not wanting to go out and get beer. Maybe you've already had too much beer to go out and drink. Grubhub has got your back. Use the code. Use the code that they give us. Use this. Use it. Use this to your advantage. Go out there, use that code, make your first order on Grubhub of $20 or more, and and Fights with Friends, because you're a member of Fights with Friends, they're gonna pick up the first $12 of your $20 order. So why not use that $12 on a 6-pack of beer? You know, some really good IPA, some Bud Light, whatever you guys like. I definitely like those guys though, and it's definitely really nice when they use those, you know, the big red. Now I can't even speak. It's like a heat bag. The ones that the pizza delivery guy is using, they keep all the heat of your food in, so when it gets there, it's like you just ordered it at your table. It's incredible. MSC it is. All right. I have not heard anything negative on MSC, so thank you, Mike Sports Experience. I'm going to have to pin down the name or something similar as far as the website and make sure I do that tonight. And let's throw out that trivia question I had promised. All right, guys. Trivia question number 5. At UFC 7, Marco Ruas leg kicked this big man until he could not stand. What fighter did Marco Ruas leg kick until he could stand no more at UFC 7, King of the Streets, against the polar bear, Paul Varelans? First ever UFC fight finished by leg kicks. Still one of my favorite fights to this day. Oh, and I went out and I said it too, didn't I? I'm sorry. But CJ Smith had it before. Paul Varelans, you are correct. And Billy got it. You just said, well, CJ Smith had it right before. I'm going to say he had it before I said it. But if not, yeah, I screwed it up. Good job, CJ. All right, let's throw another one out here real quick like. Felix Trinidad was a 4-1 favorite going into a match with this fighter who was pretty much a nobody to everybody but the hardcores. Felix Trinidad, he was a 4-1 favorite. He was a world champion. He was over there in Puerto Rico with this guy. And this guy was pretty much a nobody before that fight, before he went out there and decimated Felix Trinidad. Now, I remember one of the press conferences, this guy grabbed the Puerto Rican flag, threw it down on the ground, and stomped on it. It's not David Reed. Well, I'm glad you got it then, CJ. Mac 209, what is up, my friend? You are right. Correct. It is Bernard Hopkins. And DJ Jukebox was right behind you. He knew the answer. If you know the answer and you want to be quick, just type in the last name. I'll take the last name. That way you don't get beat out. As far as time. But Mac 209 on that one. And then I'm going to throw another one out here real quick so we don't have to refresh. Another boxing question. Who was the first man Roy Jones Jr. fought at heavyweight? Who was the first fighter that Roy Jones Jr. fought at heavyweight? Remember, he went from light heavyweight up to heavyweight. Billy Hughes, you are correct. It is John Ruiz. It was actually the one and only time Roy Jones Jr. fought at heavyweight, because Antonio Tarver, he mocked him. He followed him around on the road saying that he was scared to fight him, called him a chicken, basically goaded Roy Jones into dropping the weight very quickly, coming back down to light heavyweight. And then Roy Jones he was able to do it. Even though he had to pull out the last 3 rounds, which I thought he did, he was able to come back down to light heavyweight, beat Antonio Tarver, which would have been his 50th victory. It would have been 50-0 for Roy Jones had it not been for the disqualification against Montel Griffin Jr. when he hit Montel Griffin Jr. when he was down. And everyone knows, of course, Montel Griffin Jr. was faking. He put on a Broadway performance that night. But he went back down, beat Antonio Tarver that fight, then took him again back-to-back very quickly, because then Tarver was criticizing him, saying, I won that fight. You had excuses. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? Was a famous line. And then Tarver catches him with that counter hook over the top. They hit each other at the same time. Tarver knocks him out in the second round. The rest is history. But let's throw another one out here really quick. And Billy gets another one there. All right. Next question. Vernon Forrest. He had the number of this Hall of Fame boxer upsetting him twice in a similar fashion. Vernon, they say style makes fights, and Vernon Forrest just had this guy's number. It was a huge upset the first time he beat him. They scheduled the rematch the same year, and Vernon Forrest basically came out and basically fought the exact same fight, and it looked pretty much exactly the same. Another dominating performance for Vernon the Viper Forrest. CJ Schmidt, you are correct. It was Sugar Shane Mosley. Sugar Shane Mosley, a Hall of Fame fighter whose career would be, much more decorated than Vernon Forrest. When is this fight? Which one? Oh, between Brian Ortega and the Korean Zombie? What's up, question? I was just looking, and I'll give you an answer here. Sorry. December 31st in South Korea. Or December 21st, excuse me. That's young David's birthday, actually. So, Brian Ortega and Chan Sang-jung, the Korean Zombie, will be the main event for UFC Fight Night 165 in South Korea. That card is also going to have a light heavyweight co-main event of Volkan Ozdemir and Alexander Raychik. The main card will air on ESPN Plus at 5 a.m. Eastern. Don't do this to me. 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific time, following prelims on ESPN at 2 a.m. Eastern or 11 p.m. Pacific time. So actually, that might not be so bad. I can probably do that. If it's 2 a.m. Pacific, I can actually wake up and do that before I go to work. That's not such a bad thing. Then I can go to work and spend young David's birthday with him. What's up, PBR Street Ganging? Says, hey, thank you for the donation, sir. Sorry about that. Stupid ads. always appreciate your guys' donations on here. Thank you very much. Yes, Volkan versus Raychik. That is going to be a great card. And in South Korea, oh, it's not a problem. 11 p.m.? 11 p.m., that's not a problem for me. The only time I don't like to complain about fight times because these guys, like in England and stuff, they're always watching it over in Europe at crazy times. So I'm never upset about the times. The only thing that I get upset about is if I can't cover it and they schedule it when I'm at work. So do we really only have 6 people in here watching right now? I think I have a feeling like this froze or something. I'm sure we have more than 6 people watching. What's going on? Beginner trading in the house. Gonna be bigger than McGregor very soon. I agree. What's not bigger than McGregor? No. Now, all right, next trivia question. Oh, Game Bread? Yeah, Game Bread is a beast, man. That guy, and a lot of people are picking him to beat Nate Diaz. I just can't, just because I got to go with my West Coast gangster, Nate Diaz. But, man, I really like both of those guys. Oh, his foot. My foot is a balloon. All right, next trivia question. Let's throw it out there real quick. I don't think we have to refresh the browsers right away. Let's throw one more out there first. Muhammad Ali fought George Foreman in what was called the Rumble in the Jungle. What country was it in? What country was the Rumble in the Jungle in? What's up, Tim Johnson? Greetings to you in Biloxi, Mississippi, man. Good to see you. Billy Hughes, there it is. Yair, Africa. You are correct. It's not the Philippines. The Philippines was actually the Philippines was Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, and that was called the Thrill in Manila. But close. Very close. Gotta run. Just wanted to check in. All right, good to see you, Tim Johnson. Damn, wrong one. That was Thrill in Manila. Oh, you had it, though. All right, next question. Running quick here. Who was the first fighter to defeat Dominic Cruz? This was in the WEC. In the WEC, who was the first fighter to defeat Dominic Cruz? They would fight again in the UFC. I don't know who BB is, Billy, but you are correct. It was Kai's 25. It was Faber. You are correct. Not Eddie Wineland either. People forget about Eddie Wineland, though. He was a good fighter. But Uriah Faber was the first one to get him. Of course, they would fight again later in the UFC. And they may end up fighting one more time now that Faber's back. Although I don't know I really want to see that. So Kai's 25 with that one. Oh, TJ. By choke? I don't remember what it was by. I think he did. I think he submitted him. What's going on, Outlaw JBC? Shout out to South Carolina. Good to see you in here tonight. Thank you. All right, next question. This fighter was a very good heavyweight champion. It's a shame that he might be best known for ducking another heavyweight champion, Lennox Lewis. This guy was a very good heavyweight champion. Really tarnished his legacy that he could be best known for ducking Lennox Lewis. It is not Evander Holyfield. Lewis and Holyfield fought twice. CJ Smith, it is Riddick Bowe. You are correct. That was the front of a ESPN magazine. Riddick Bowe throwing the WBC belt in the garbage. And a lot of people expected those two to fight in the Olympics. It didn't happen then when Lennox Lewis won the gold medal. Then as professionals, the WBC mandated that Riddick Bowe face Lennox Lewis for his championship. And Riddick Bowe literally took the belt and threw it straight into the trash. Which allowed Lennox Lewis eventually to unify the belts. And I don't know why this, my picture is getting very blurry. Okay, there it is. There, maybe it was just my screen there. All right, let's throw another one out here real quick. Butterbean's a good one, man. I love that guy. He's fun to watch, though. Buster Douglas. We're going to go to James Buster Douglas. Who was Buster Douglas's first title defense after defeating Mike Tyson? Buster Douglas, of course, pulled off the biggest upset in boxing history, 40-1 underdog, knocking out Mike Tyson. Who was his first defense against Billy Hughes? You are correct. It was Evander Holyfield. And man, it was an absolute rout. Because Evander Holyfield destroyed James Buster Douglas inside of 3 rounds. Buster Douglas put on a lot of weight very, very quickly. Yo, Mike, you just had an idea. Check your Twitter DMs. All right, I will, my friend. Let's throw another trivia question out here quick, though. Billy with another one. All right, before Mike Tyson, this man was the youngest heavyweight champion ever. Who was the youngest heavyweight champion ever before Mike Tyson was? Before Mike Tyson even fought. Holyfield versus Douglas in the first, was the first boxing pay-per-view I can remember. Was not Joe Louis. Not Trevor, no. This guy also trained under Customato. It was not Trevor Berbick. This fighter also trained under Customato in the peekaboo style. Not Ali, and it was not Spinks. As far as timeline, think just before Ali. No, not Benavidez. Same kind of style, though. Same peekaboo style. There it is. Billy Hughes, Floyd Patterson. You are correct. Real quick bonus point. Who took the championship away from Floyd Patterson? Who was the guy to come out and take the belt away from Floyd Patterson first? A big, powerful, punching heavyweight boxer. Oh, Sugar Ray also floating up. All right, I'm going to time out on that one before people have a chance. It was not Frazier. Before people have a chance to Google it. It was Sonny Liston. Rocky Balboa. I love it, CJ. All right. Next question. Final question of the night. We're going to wrap this up in about an hour as far as the trivia, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do tomorrow night, though. I'm going to do a stream tomorrow night if people are interested. This Latin-based MMA organization is becoming very popular and has aired on the Zone. This Latin-based MMA organization is becoming very popular and has aired on the DAZN network. What is the organization? It's generally on Friday nights. And Billy Hughes, again, it is Combate Americas. And Billy didn't quite run the table tonight, but out of 14 questions, Billy got quite a few of them in his return. Got the first 4, then CJ Smith, then Mac 209, then Billy goes 5, 6, 7, then Kai's 25, then CJ Smith goes up to 2, Billy Hughes goes up to 8 and 9. So out of 14 questions, the time bender in his return pulls out 9 of them. And week 1 of Combat Trivia, week 1 of season 4, the return of the time bender, Billy Hughes, gets 9 out of 14 questions. Good job, Billy. So I'm going to put something up on the post to see if you guys are really that interested. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now, and you guys let me know what you think. If you're interested in it, I am interested in watching it. I think I might end up watching it either way. But if there really is no interest, then I might. Then if the family ends up wanting to do something else, I'll end up doing something with them. But this is an event tomorrow. I don't know how many people are still on are still on Fight Pass, but they are starting to sign a lot of organizations. There's a lot of MMA still over there, even though there's not as much live UFC cards. Huge card tomorrow night, and I'm going to put this up on the screen for those of you that start. NHL regular season starts next week. Oh, beautiful. Errol Spence Jr. all the way. Bet the house, outlaw. Bet your mom's house. Bet your ex-wife's house. Bet whatever you can think of. Errol Spence Jr., he's going to walk away with it. I think he's the best fighter on earth. Pound for pound, he's a technician. Maybe even better, I think, than Vasily Lomachenko. Those two are hard to compare, but yeah, I think Errol Spence Jr. takes that one fairly easily. All right, let's take this to the display capture. I'm going to bring this up and show you guys what I am looking at. All right, guys, here we go. It is WXC82 Warrior Wednesday 7. And since I have Wednesdays off for a little while in the foreseeable future, seems fitting we have some Warrior Wednesdays. WXC, if you haven't watched it, pretty damn entertaining league. And they have some championships kicking off tomorrow night. On the main card, you have Ladarius Jackson versus Caitlin Williams. A couple other good cards on there, but they have some championship bouts going off. Their co-main event, the Bantamweight Championship, will be on the line between Jose Johnson and Terrence Mitchell. And then in the main event, The welterweight championship is on the line. So 2 world championship matches over there at WXC out of Michigan. Willis Black versus Anthony Ivy. All that starts at 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Warrior Extreme Cage Fighting. And you can catch that over on UFC Fight Pass. Of course, as always, you can get a free 7 or maybe even a 30-day free trial if you go to the right place as well to watch along. 5 p.m. Pacific. Oh, Monday is the first baseball playoff game? Beautiful. Beautiful. We're going to have to do some... oh, man. We might have to have a vote between Monday Night Football and the baseball game. When is the playoff game on Monday? When is the MLB playoff game on Monday? It just says next Tuesday on TBS. I don't have a time. Oh, it is Tuesday. So perfect. So if everything goes right at work, hopefully we can do some football on Sunday. Then Monday Night Football. Then Tuesday baseball. I don't want to promise everything right now, but if people are interested in it for sure, I would like to do Warrior Wednesday tomorrow. Like I said, 2 world championships going off over there at the WXC. Their bantamweight and welterweight championships being crowned, and the UFC needs a new feeding ground. Their former used to be called their Farm League, basically LFA, the Legacy Fighting Alliance. For those that didn't see, Access TV had their last airing. They were bought over by another company. Mark Cuban no longer the lead shareholder, and they announced MMA is off of that network. Sad time. I want to say like 34 of the first 50 fighters to come off of Dana White Contender Series were from the LFA. So it would really make sense for either Fight Pass to sign LFA, or what I would rather see, since more of you probably have it, is ESPN Plus to sign LFA. But man, they've had some great fighters come through there. Henry Cejudo, that's where he came out of. But a lot of good fighters. I'm in for the fights. Other than that, hey, a lot of people are just in for the fights, and that's not going anywhere. That's 100% okay, PBR. That's how we built this. All right, what's the update, CJ? Fight TV is in early talks for LFA. I wondered if it would go to Fight TV. I like Fight TV. The only issue is I have a hard time pulling people over because they have to pay per event. If it's going to be big enough that you guys want to see it, I'll pay for it pretty much every time. I'll get it on there if there's interest. But I don't know what the interest is going to be for that one if people have to pay for it. McGregor is looking to fight Frankie. Yeah, he's been talking about fighting Frankie for a while. Madison Square Garden, that makes a lot of sense. Madison Square Garden, Aljamain Sterling is out for the wrist injury. McGregor versus Frankie, December 2nd on the undercard of Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. It could happen. There's already a lot of great fights on that one. Check this out. What if they put together Masvidal versus Diaz? And this could happen into the year December. Because this is Madison Square Garden. Masvidal Diaz. And Daniel Cormier versus Stipe 3. Double main events. Co-main event. Conor McGregor versus Frankie Edgar. That would be his easiest comeback. I don't know that he gets past Frankie, though, because he's going to have to deal with Frankie's wrestling. Should have a retro night where we watch old favorite MMA cards from UFC, Pride, WEC, etc. If people were able to watch them, I wish I could show them. That's the only, that's the biggest issue, is that I can't show the fights. But if people were up for that, I'll definitely do that. And a lot of them, we can put the links out there so people can follow along. Frankie would have the cardio advantage. I think anybody has the cardio advantage over Conor for 3 rounds though. I don't think Conor's going to run out of gas in 3 rounds. I think it's the 5-round fights where he runs into issues. And like I've said in the past, I don't believe so much that Conor has a cardio issue, is that he has a pacing issue. When you go for every shot, when you go for the knockout on every single shot, that can be an issue. What's taking UFC so long to put Tony versus Khabib? I don't know. Maybe that's the December 2nd card. They got to fight somewhere. Thoughts on the next Bellator card featuring Pitbull title defense and Mousasi fight? That's a good one, man. We should actually bring that up on the screen. I think that's worth talking about. Oh, by the way, unfortunately, this next UFC, though, I am not going to be able to cover it. Unfortunately. And that sucks. I apologize, but that's the way it is. But for those of you that didn't know, we got a big card on Friday. Patient Gaethje could easily outwork Conor. Oh, yeah, I think so. All right, check this out, guys. You ready to get your minds blown? If you didn't know this one already. Check this out. Boom. UFC Dublin. You got James Gallagher coming back against Roman Salazar. But look who's in the co-main event. The return of Michael Venom Page versus Richard Kelly. That is the co-main event this Friday. So 3 days away. This is going to be on at, the main card will start at 5:05 Eastern, 3:05 Pacific. James Gallagher versus Roman Salazar. Michael Page versus Richard Kelly. Peter Queally is going to get on that one versus Ryan Scope. I don't know why there's not more fights announced on this for the main card. It's got to be more than Richie Smolin is over on the prelims, which is interesting, as well as Lee Chadwick. But, that's quite a treat, I think, for a lot of people that probably didn't realize it was coming. We get James Gallagher and Michael Venom Page, same night, this Friday. Just have to wait a couple days for that one. And that one snuck up on me. I just noticed that happening the other day. So that's a big one. Isn't there a Bellator card Saturday night too? Billy says this, there a Bellator card Saturday night too. This is all, apparently it's all marked as Friday. This is weird. So it's split up. This one says it starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to have to get, I think there might be a mistake on the Bellator website. I don't know. You guys look at it, though, and maybe help me decide here. Benson Henderson takes on Miles Jury. This is set for this Saturday, just a few days from now. Kiefer Crosby versus Hugo Pajea. Liam McCourt versus Kerry Hughes. France Malombo versus Dominique Wooding. Quite a few guys on this main card. These are all listed for the main card, so it almost kind of seems like they combine these. Maybe this is all... So there's the European series, but it's all Dublin. So I'm not sure what's going on with that one. And then here is your Saturday card. 7 p.m. Pacific is the main card. So we got a double header. We got Patricio Pitbull versus Juan Archuleta. Featherweight Grand Prix opening round world title match. Lyoto the Dragon Machida versus Gegard Mousasi. Darian Caldwell, former bantamweight champion, against Henry Corrales. Daniel Wichel versus Saul Rogers. Look at this prospect coming back. AJ McKee, sparkling 14-0 record, comes back against Georgi Karakian. Leandro Higo on the prelims. Prelims aren't only super deep for Bellator, but a lot of good fighters there on the prelims. So that one's from the Forum in Inglewood. So Friday, we got Bellator from Dublin. Saturday, we got Bellator from Inglewood. Inglewood always up to no good. The Gallagher and Venom fights are kickboxing. The Benson Henderson card is MMA. Both on for that's Mike Gallagher? Or James Gallagher's fighting kickboxing? Okay. That's interesting. These names make me feel young again. I hear you, man. Pitbull versus Juan. Oh, that's a good fight, though, man. Juan Archuleta versus Patricio Pitbull. I like that. Yeah, I didn't know Venom was fighting on kickboxing. And then Benson Henderson, MMA. So basically triple header from Bellator this week. For quadruple card for those that are able to watch the UFC. UFC, though, I believe this week starts at, the main card starts at 11 a.m. Pacific. Let me make sure on that. I know I looked at this earlier. But I want to be sure on that. Maybe I get home in time to cover that one. I don't think so, though. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and that's going to be the main card. So I know I'm not going to be able to make 11 a.m. I'm not going to be done with work, and that's why I got to get out of this job, guys. So, but a triple header, like I said, this weekend. Incredibly excited about that. And guys, how can we leave tonight without talking about, hey, we're going to get a triple header of MMA. If you're looking to get a triple header in the bedroom, guys, you got to go with Blue Chew. Big discount, 34% through Fights with Friends for your first month. Discreetly sent to your home, and their doctors there, basically, if you have a pulse, they're going to reload you, as Pulse Reloaded would say. They're going to take care of you. If you get on there on the video conference call with them, they told me they're going to take care of you. through HIPAA laws and stuff, they're not going to share this with me or anyone. So no concerns about that. But gosh, you don't want to get caught. You don't want to get caught up at one of those shady gas stations like John Jones. Trying to get your funk on with your wife and ended up getting, some kind of contaminated male enhancement supplements. Make sure and use that code and get 34% off your first month of Blue Chew. It's chewable Viagra. Your wife will thank you for it. MMA is funny too. From we are not here to take part, we are here to take over. To it is only a business. Masasi versus Machida and Pitbull versus Archuleta on Saturday. Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. A lot of times those are the fights that the UFC there for a while would only have on pay-per-view. Of course, they're going to be free. If you have the Zone or I don't know what's on as far as the Paramount Network. We'll have to see. All right, guys. I have a few things to take care of tonight. Thanks for coming in from MMA Trivia. Billy wins the first week back for Season 4. But don't forget, I'm going to put up a poll to see how much interest there is in Warrior Wednesday tomorrow. So make sure and vote in that if you're interested in that. The Bantamweight and Welterweight World Championships on the line. I'll do it if there's interest in it. But then Friday, Bellator Kickboxing. Awesome. Billy says Friday is on Paramount. Bellator Kickboxing, Bellator MMA. And then Saturday, a huge Bellator card after you watch your UFC MMA. Then the next week, heading in Sunday football, Monday football, Tuesday Major League Baseball playoffs. The Mike Sports Experience kicks off in October. Remember, the name change is coming. Don't forget to look for it, and I'll keep announcing it. October 1st, Fights with Friends becomes Mike Sports Experience. Until later, guys, as always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.